So, conversation between Maharaja Rahugana and Jada Bharat. Aham pura bharato nama raja vimukta drishta shruta sanga bandha aradhanam bhagavato yamano mrigo bhavam mriga sangat datartha. So, Jada Bharat is telling King Rahugana, in a previous birth, I was known as Maharaj Bharat. Maybe the first time he's revealing who he was in the previous birth. I attain perfection by becoming completely detached from material activities through direct experience. So Maharaj, he says, I attained perfection because he came to a very high stage in devotional service. He was experiencing ecstatic emotions and so much love for the Supreme Lord. And how did he come to that stage? By becoming completely detached from material activities through direct experience. So one can perceive through direct experience that these material activities are useless and has no real bearing on the eternal journey of the soul. Material activities have no real significance and they are a cause of my trouble. As Lord Rishabdev says, that right, I have gotten this material body because of all my material activities. I should not have accepted a material body, but I have been given this material body because of all my material desires, and then you have to suffer also. You want to enjoy, then you have to suffer. Long time back, we read an article from Mahatma Prabhu. Right, he was saying, if you want to, what? If you want to
If you want to play,
play,
then you have to pay.
you have to pay. If you want to play, then you have to pay. So, you want to enjoy separately from Krishna, then you have to go through birth, death, all the old age and disease. So, if you want to play, you got to pay. So, if you want sensual enjoyment, then you have to go through the struggle of this material life. So, knowing all these things and seeing that, Maharaj Bharat came to the conclusion that, yeah, this is useless. And he left behind everything just as what? As we, as
As a
we,
person gives up stool after quitting.
after you pass stool, you don't look at the stool, right? Maybe you may look at it. Sometimes there is some disease, some blood comes in the stool or something like that. So you have to observe your stool. But generally, or you have to, like, recently, you know, they sent me a kit, right? Because they want to check for colon cancer or anything like that. So they will send you a kit where you have to uh, collect a sample of your stool and they will analyze. So other than that, you don't collect your stool. It is useless. It is a waste product coming out of the body. And when you pass stool, then you just flush it. So it's because it's useless, right? It is foul smelling. It is useless. So you don't. So similarly, this material activities, the material world is in one way it's like a trash can. Prabhupada said one time, right? He saw in the West that you have this big truck that comes and empties the dumpster. Right? So he had never seen that like that before in India. Here they will pick up the whole dumpster and tilt it, and so that all the dirt will come out and go into the back of the truck, right? In that space. So he said, yes, the whole material world should go into that dumpster in the trash can. So it is a place for all the rebellious souls who have turned away from Krishna. And it is a place of suffering. Dukhalayam Asashvatam, Krishna is saying. The one who has created this material world is saying how it is supposed to work, right? So we can't change the design. The design is by the designer. The designer is saying it is meant to frustrate the jiva so that he can turn to me. So we can't change it by technology or things, anything like that. It is without, despite all this so much technological advancement, people are still getting depressed and so many things, anxiety, filled with anxiety. So this is the nature of this material. It's called kuntha as opposed to vaikuntha. This is filled with anxiety. As Prahlad Maharaj says, the anxiety is due to our grasping on to something that will not last. Tatsadhumanye suravarya dehinam sada samudvigna dhyam asadgrahat hitvatpapatam grihamandakupam vanam gato yadharim ashre. He says to his father when he was asked, what is the best thing you learned? And he told his father this verse first time when he said, my dear father, O best of the asuras, what I have learned is that anybody who is engaged in materialistic way of life, this is materialistic household life, has fallen into a deep dark well where there is only anxiety and it's kind of blind well. You cry and cry. So I think, my father, you are also in this kind of, you have become very materialistic. You should give up. And you are always in anxiety because you're grasping onto something that is not going to stay with you. Sadhu vanye suravarya dehinam sada samudvigna dhyam asad grahat. Asad means that which will not stay, and grahat means to hold on to. So there is always an anxiety because we'll lose things, right? We'll lose many things in this life, which is basically our source of enjoyment. So we are trying to hold on to it, and time is snatching it away from us. So that's why there is anxiety. So then, what one should do? One should give up this kind of materialistic household life and go to Vana, Vrindavan, and take shelter of Hari. That's what he said. Vanam gato yadharim ashrayet. So we can take shelter of Hari in this age simply by taking shelter of the holy name, by chanting the holy name. That's, we don't have to go anywhere if we can't go. Yesterday when I was driving, Manish Prabhu was with me. He was asking, so what will you do if you knew that you have only 1 year left in your life? Right? Manish Prabhu was asking me this question. So I was thinking about it. Yes, what would I do if I have only 1 year left in my life? Then I thought maybe, I told him, maybe I'll go to Vrindavan and just chant Hare Krishna. So then he was telling that yes, actually you can chant Hare Krishna anywhere. You don't have to go anywhere to Vrindavan or anything like that. You can chant Hare Krishna, and that is Vrindavan, right? You can be in Krishna consciousness anywhere. But of course, we have heard that there is a special significance of dying in Vrindavan. That is there, so we may go to Vrindavan, but it's not necessary. If you are in Krishna consciousness, then you can die anywhere. So, to make spiritual advancement, we have to think that time is very less, and I'll be out of this my situation very soon. Then you can become serious about your spiritual life and not casual, because casual means casualty. So we can be serious, sincere, and without ulterior motives. That's what basically is pure devotional service. Serious, sincere, and without ulterior motive means there is no other reason why I'm doing devotional service than to please Krishna. That is anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karmadhyanavritam anukulyena krishnanushilanam bhaktiruttama. So so he became completely detached from material activities through direct experience. So we may not get direct experience, but we have to see others who are suffering, and through them we learn. We say three ways of learning: by hearing, by seeing, and by experience. So he said, I attained perfection by completely becoming completely detached from material activities through direct experience. And human form of life is especially meant for breaking the cycle of birth and death. We are going from one body to the next, one body to the next. So human life is especially meant for understanding who we are. We cannot break the cycle of birth and death unless we mukti is only attained through bhakti. So bhakti uh, actually gives us mukti. So we should concentrate on um, becoming a devotee of Krishna. Krishna says, "Become my devotee." Means we have to awaken that dormant love that we have in our heart for Krishna through hearing about him, chanting Hare Krishna. So, and through indirect experience, I received understanding from the Vedas. So he became completely detached from material act through and through indirect experience, I received understanding. Through indirect experience, I received understanding from the Vedas. So by hearing, also, it's an indirect experience, right? You may not directly experience, but you hear about the misery of the child in the womb and how. So we can learn, right? We are not directly experiencing, but we can put ourselves in that situation and learn. Oh, I was in that situation one time. Or death is also described, how at the time of death, what happens. So all these things are described. So you learn through indirect experience. So he learned directly through experience and through indirect experience from the Vedas. I was fully engaged in the service of the Lord, but due to my misfortune, I became very affectionate to a small deer, so much so that I neglected my spiritual duties. He's remembering, he's telling Rahugana what happened. Due to my deep affection for the deer, in my next life I had to accept the body of a deer. Okay. The incident herein described is very significant. In a previous verse, it is stated, Vina Mahat Pado Raja Abhishekam. One cannot attain perfection without smearing the dust from the lotus feet of an exalted devotee on his head. Means by following the instructions, by becoming obedient to the great souls, that's following the path given by great souls, because they know the truth. So, Tarko Pratishtha Shrutayor Vibhinna. Nashav Rishir Yashya Matam Na Bhinnam. Dharmasya hi Tatvam Nihitam Guhayam. What is the last bit?
Mahajana Vinagata Sapantha.
Mahajana. By logic, argument, and debate, you cannot understand the absolute truth. The truth is hidden in the heart of self-realized person. And one has to follow the path given by the great souls. And if you have questions, we can ask. Krishna says, Pariprashnena Sevaya, in a humble way. If one always follows the orders of the spiritual master, there is no question of falling down. As soon as the foolish disciple tries to overtake his spiritual master and becomes ambitious to occupy his post, he immediately falls down. Yasya prasadat bhagavad prasado, yasya prasadat nagati kutopi. If the spiritual master is considered an ordinary man, the disciple surely loses his chance to advance further. Despite a very rigid life in devotional service, Bharat Maharaj did not consult a spiritual master when he became overly attached to a deer. Consequently, he became strongly attached to the deer and forgetting his spiritual routine, he fell down. So he did not consult. We say he had no association of devotees. So he knew that he was neglecting his spiritual practices. He knew, but he was not taking guidance. So from anybody. So sometimes we don't take guidance because we think it's all right. Whatever is going on is all right. And sometimes there is no need to take guidance because you already know what is to be done. Even if you take guidance, if you don't follow the guidance, then there is no, like if I go to a doctor and doctor gives me a medicine, but if I never take the medicine, then how am I going to get cured? So guidance is there in the form of instructions of all the so many books of Prabhupada we have, and all the disciples and everybody is giving guidance. But it is up to us to follow and implement that guidance in our life. So, because devotional service is voluntary, nobody can force anybody. So that's the thing. So he said, I had to accept the body of a deer. Okay, so any comments on this verse? Otherwise, we'll go to the next verse. Any comments? Anybody else? Okay, next verse. Sa mam smritir mrigadehe pivira Krishna archan prabhavano jahati Ato aham janasanga dasango Vishankamano vivritas charami. My dear heroic king, due to my past sincere service to the Lord, I could remember everything of my past life, even while in the body of a deer. Because I am aware of the fall down in my past life, I always keep myself separate from the association of ordinary men, being afraid of their bad materialistic association. I wander alone, unnoticed by others. So he became very afraid now that he will get attached again somewhere. He got attached to a deer. Now he is very careful this time that he doesn't want to form any attachments in this world, which will again bring him back in this another body. So he was very, very careful. Once bitten, twice shy. So, so that is how it should be for us also. We learn, remember, right, from our mistakes that one of the R's is to remember. So remember our mistake and be very afraid of committing that mistake. So then we will take precaution. So he was very extra careful that should not do anything now. I will just dedicate this life to Krishna. So, and he says, why I'm wandering like this? Because I'm very afraid of their association. I don't want to mingle. I want to just stay aloof from everybody, from at least from the ordinary people. The ordinary people. Of course, he was on a very high level of spiritual advancement. He would not, but in his mind that phobia was there, that fear was there, and so fear is good, right? Healthy fear. Devki represents the devotee, and she is always afraid of Kansa. So Kansa represents materialistic association. So Devki is always afraid. So then they say by that fear, then all the Shadgarbhas, lust, anger, greed, envy. Of course, it doesn't really, like if she was afraid, but yeah, Kans was killing. So Kans represents materialistic association. So how can materialistic association? But it's like when a devotee is afraid of materialistic association, then it is described that the Shadgarbhas are destroyed. And then comes the presence of Balaram, who represents the Guru, Adi Guru. And then he prepares womb for Krishna's arrival. And then Krishna comes, so bhakti happens. So in English we have a saying, what is that? Fools fear to,
Fools rush,
fools rush in,
fools rush in where angels
fools
fear
fear
to
to
tread.
tread. Yeah, fools rush in where angels fear to tread. So that healthy fear is, Prabhupada says, not the disciples' problem with my Western disciples is that no, they are not sufficiently afraid of Maya. So we should be very, this is the material world, we should be very fearful of this material world. One should tremble in fear with every passing day and night. One should tremble in fear. It is described like that in the Bhagavatam. Ahoratrishchityamanam kaya veputu. What is that? Ahoratrishchityamanam kaya veputu. One should tremble in fear.
रात्रिश्चिद्यमान बुद्धवाय भयवेपुतो मुक्तसंग परम बुद्धवा निरीह पश्यामीति.
Yeah, so with every passing day, our life is being reduced and we have an opportunity to get out. Of course, one way you cannot be afraid is that you have done Krishna consciousness, so you're not afraid. So if you've done your best and you've tried, your best to serve Krishna, then of course our best, we should not think that our best is the ultimate. No, we can do even better. Actually, we should have done better. So so one should be afraid of this materialistic existence because I can go into any species of life. And there are so many species of life. And again, I will have to repeat this. And so that fear is healthy fear. So, like that. I lose my Krishna consciousness. So you protect it. If you have fear that you have a diamond and you lose it, then you'll protect it. You're always looking. Did I keep it in a safe place? Is it in a safe place? You keep watch. You keep a watch over it, and you keep it in the locker or somewhere where nobody can touch it. So they say when Bhakti Lata is very weak, Bhakti Lata it's a creeper. It needs support, and it can be uprooted very easily. So you build a fence around it to protect ourselves from all the offenses, the wild animals that can come. So we have to protect our Bhakti Lata from all the. That's why Mahaprabhu said, Asat Sanga Tyaga E Vaishnavachar. One who gives up the association of Asat, he is a Vaishnava. So in Nectar of Instruction, also in verse 2 and 3, both places, what is favorable? First, Rupa Goswami says, what is unfavorable? Association of non devotees. And then in the third verse, he says, what is favorable? He says, giving up the association of non devotees is favorable. Of course, if one is very strong in Krishna consciousness, he can give his association and not be affected by the association of others, like Srila Prabhupada. And so we can give association but not take association. In Bhagavad Gita it is said, Svalbhamapi asya dharmasya. It is certainly a great fall to go from human life to animal life. But in the case of Bharat Maharaj or any devotee, devotional service to the Lord never goes in vain. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Yam Yam Vapi Smaran Bhavam Tyajanti Ante Kalevaram. At the time of death, by nature's law, the mind is absorbed in a certain type of thinking. This may lead one to animal life, yet for a devotee there is no loss. Even though Bharat Maharaj received the body of a deer, he did not forget his position. Consequently, in the body of a deer, he was very careful to remember the cause of his downfall. As a result, he was given a chance to be born in a family of very pure Brahmanas. Thus, his service to the Lord never went in vain. So, yeah, Krishna says in the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, one who does good is never overcome by evil. Again, he will get birth in a rich aristocratic family. If after a long yoga practice you fall down, then you get directly birth in a family of devotees. If after a short practice you fall down, then you go to the heavenly planets. And then you can, when you come down again, you get birth in either a rich family or in the family of brahmanas or devotees like that, he says. So after long yoga practice means directly you are getting birth in a family of devotee. You can immediately progress. Short yoga practice means because your material desires they are still not. So you go to the heavenly planets. Then you again come down into another rich family like that. So he was given a chance to be born in the family of very pure Brahmanas. Thus his service to the Lord never went in vain. This little life of deer in between was just to concentrate his desire. So as a deer, he was a jati smara, he remembered everything. It made his desire very concentrated. Like we have dilute hydrochloric acid when we have concentrated hydrochloric acid, right? So dilute means the desire is dilute, means it's not very strong. And Krishna wants to intensify our desire. That's why he leaves the gopis in the middle of the Ras Leela, or he goes out of course, he never leaves out of Vrindavan, but to gopis it appears that he has gone out of Vrindavan so that to intensify their desire. So Krishna creates situations in our life through miseries and through all the inconveniences and the struggles we go through to create a desire in us to want him so we can go back to him. That is the whole purpose of this material world. He could have directly gotten a body as Jada Bharat. Why he had to? Because Krishna says, right, one who falls down in yoga practice, next life he gets. And that was a long yoga practice because he had reached the bhava platform. And why did he get the body of a deer? We could say, right, if he again gets birth in a family of devotees. Of course, as Jada Bharat also, he was not really born in a family of devotees. A Brahmana family, but not really. He did not get it from his father and mother. He already was spiritually advanced. But that little short dear life in between was there to concentrate his desire, to make his desire concentrated. So he can intensify. Tatra lolyam abhimulyam ekalam janma koti sukritir na labhyate. Krishna says, Krishna Bhakti in the nectar of devotion. Krishna Bhakti Rasabhavitamati. Krishna
प्रियतम यदि कुतो लभ्यते तत्र
Tatra.
लौल्यमपि मूल्यमेकं जन्मकोटि सुकृतेन लभ्यते.
Lolyam means intense desire. Right? So lolyam means greed. Greed means intense desire. So I think Janish says correct me. Okay. Okay, so that's how intensity of the desire increases. Even Narad Muni, right? He saw Krishna and then he disappeared. And Krishna said, I have done this just to increase your desire, hankering. So whatever we intensely desire, that's kind of where we want to be, right? Whatever we intensely desire. So, so right now our desire may be dilute, yes, but then Krishna will intensify the desire by experiences, giving experiences in our life, and yeah, by hearing from the devotees.
And we know that Bharat Maharaj, he was on the Bhav platform, so he was experiencing ecstasy, standing on end and crying and was choking like that. All Ashtasatvika Vigar he was. So he had gotten a taste of experiencing Krishna, being with Krishna. So yeah, so still, after experiencing that taste, higher taste, he is himself saying that I got attached to insignificant deer. So I was thinking we also have made, we are here in this material body because we made a mistake in our previous life. And we have made so many mistakes, multiple lifetimes, different mistakes. We don't specifically remember, but yeah, all sorts of, all pitfalls of bhakti as Bhagavatam discusses in different sections and different ways. Indra falls down, or here Bharat Maharaj is falling down. So although we can't remember like Bharat Maharaj, but we know that we have made this mistake. This particular mistake of being attached to somebody we have made also.
Yeah, Prabhupada says like that, that you can change genders based on your attachment, right? In next life.
Yeah, and I was remembering that Prabhupada disciple. We had discussed him like who
Raghav.
got attached to another woman, and then in next life came as Bhakti Charu Maharaj disciple. That lady came, right? So he took the form of a girl in his next life.
Raghav Das Brahmachari. Okay, so we have to clean our consciousness by chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So that we are not attached to all these things in this world. Of course, attachment to purity, if you become attached to Srila Prabhupada, pure devotees, it opens the door to liberation. Prasanga majaram pasham atmana kavyo vidu. Saeva sadhu shakrito mokshatvaram apavritam. So attachment to great souls means you go where they are. You want to be in their association. So many disciples feel separation from spiritual master, right? So that separation takes them back home because the spiritual master is serving Krishna wherever he is. So you go back there. So it's like spiritual world. So even Narottam Das Thakur has a song. যে আনিল প্রেম ধন করুণা প্রাচুর হেন প্রভু কোথা গেলা আচার্য ঠাকুর পাষাণে কুটিব মাথা অনলে পাশিব. So like that he is lamenting in separation. Okay, so yeah, we want the association. We should hanker for the association of the pure devotees where we can hear Krishna Katha as all the Prithu Maharaj and everybody is asking the Lord, I want this. Okay, that is also spiritual.
And as I was saying that actually everybody is looking for Krishna. If somebody becomes attached to somebody, it's like because they have a spark of qualities that Krishna has. And but then ultimately we say that in our time of need nobody can help us. People may have compassion for us but they don't have the capability. But Krishna has both compassion, capability, eternal love. He is our eternal companion. So direct that attachment towards Krishna.
Yeah, Krishna or Krishna's pure devotee is the same because
I mean, pure devotees will also leave us, but they leave the instructions behind. Because, I mean, Prabhupada has left us. We cannot have a personal reciprocation from him also.
like that Prithuputra Swami, right? He said, Prabhupada, you came like that. So
Yeah.
the thing is that if pure devotee tells Krishna something, yes, save this person, and then if pure devotee is pleased and he is recommends to Krishna, then we are on the recommendation of a pure devotee. We will get entrance into the spiritual world, right? So just like we hear somebody recommends us, we get a job. Of course, not maybe not always. Sometimes it's not a very good example, but yeah, that's why they say you get the mercy. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado. Yasya prasadat nagati kutopi. If you don't get the mercy of a great soul, then you cannot get the mercy of Krishna. But of course, mercy means Prabhupada says you follow my instructions. And the pure devotee wants to engage everybody in Krishna's service only. Ultimately, it is a bit. Prabhupada says, yeah, you distribute my books, you do engage in Shri Vigrahara Dhana Nitya Nana. So that also. So ultimately, it is up to, yeah, the Prabhupada says how when everybody asked him that what pleases you the most, then what did he say?
If you
What,
love Krishna.
yeah, what pleases me most is that you love Krishna. So, and love for devotees also takes us to Krishna only. So,
No, I mean, if you can love Krishna only if you love others, not that you are offensive to everybody and you say you love Krishna.
hmm,
You don't love Krishna.
yeah,
Yeah, but
yeah,
everybody has limits also. We
yeah.
cannot love everybody in that sense that we have our limits of reciprocation with how many people,
No, the
right? So that's
instructions, it's like Prahlad Maharaj is telling Narsinghadev, oh, I was following the general populace, but my spiritual master saved me. Like Narad Muni, he saved me because so how can I give up his association? So that is a very strong gratitude for you know the the gurus who save you from the like Prabhupada
yeah,
wrote all these books. Of course, you can say, well, Krishna only wrote all these books. It is everything is coming from Krishna, but we glorify Srila Prabhupada because it's Prabhupada. He was the one who came in my life and he saved me. Some disciples say like that. Yes, they're disciples of Prabhupada. They say, yeah, there may be so many, but he's the one who actually saved me. So he's the one who
yeah,
came.
yeah. And isn't there the spiritual master never dies? He always lives with his disciple as long as he's following the instructions.
Yes. So we have specifically been saved, at least I can say, because of this all these books of Srila Prabhupada and his classes and everything. Okay, 5:12. Still, I'm not saved yet, but I'm trying to save myself by following the instructions. Okay, tasma naro sanga susanga jata jnana sineheva vivikrana moha harim tadiha kathana shutabhyam Labdva smritiryati param atmanaha. Simply by giving up the association of worldly people and associating with exalted devotees. As Janish Prabhu says, bhakti comes from bhakta. So he says, Jada is saying, simply by giving up the association of worldly people and associating with exalted devotees, anyone can attain perfection of knowledge. And with the sword of knowledge can cut to pieces the illusory associations within this material world. We're hearing Mahotsaha Prabhu, he was saying, Vidyate Hridaya Granthis Chidyate Sarva Sanchaya. Shiyante Chashya Karbani Drishtaya Matvanishware. Quoting this verse yesterday as we are coming back, we're hearing Mahotsaha Prabhu. With the sword of knowledge, one can cut with this, all this Hridaya Granthi. This sadhu means one who cuts. So there is a verse in the Bhagavatam. Yadanudhyasina yukta karma granthi nibandhanam. Karma granthi, there also granthi is coming. Hridaya granthi. Karma granthi means all our desires for enjoy. Yadanudhyasina yukta karma granthi chindanti ko vidastasya ko na kuryat katharatim. With sword in hand, intelligent man cut through this karma by remembering Supreme Personality of Godhead. Anudhya is remembrance of the Lord. So, in the association of devotees, we can remember the Lord, His instructions, and get inspiration to go back home, back to Godhead. Anyone can attain perfection of knowledge, and with sword of knowledge, can cut to pieces the illusory associations within this material world. So, it is illusory because we are thinking this is mine, right? So, all this, nothing is mine, but everybody is Krishna's. So, we have to, if you see like that, then we are not in illusory association. If you see, yes, these are all people, they all belong, they are spirit souls. and they all belong to Krishna. Mamevamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. Otherwise, janasya mohayam aham mameti. That is the illusory, I and mine. It's not yours. Nobody is yours really. In the sense that everybody, the soul you didn't manufacture, neither did the body you manufacture, because these are all Krishna's energy. The soul is Krishna's energy, Tatashta Shakti, and earth, water, fire, air, ether, of which the body is made. That also Krishna says, this is my energy. So everybody belongs to Krishna. And I did not create. I may have given birth to a child, but I did not create the soul that is residing in the, neither did I create the body of the child. You can say, well, the mother may say, well, it is in my body that the child's body formed. But you didn't do anything really. I mean, you were eating all the stuff, all the food and everything. That was also provided by Krishna, that earth, water, fire, air, ether. And you didn't really create the child's body, right? It happened by Krishna's arrangement. You didn't go inside and say, now let me create the eyes, let me create the nose, let me create the ears. It happened automatically without your knowledge, right? So there was some other intelligence at work. So in that way, it is not your child in that sense, because these are all Krishna's energy, and somehow it automatically happened. So this is Krishna's child. So like that, Vidya Vinay Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini Sunicheva Supakaja Pandita Samadarshina. So everybody is Krishna's child. Vasudhaiva Kutumbikam. Through the association of devotees, one can engage in the service of the Lord by hearing and chanting. So in the association of devotees, one chants and hears. Thus one can revive his dormant Krishna consciousness, and sticking to the cultivation of Krishna consciousness, return home back to Godhead even in this life. So Shravanam Kirtanam is basically the foundation of Krishna consciousness. Everything else comes afterwards. First Shravan Kirtan, so chanting the holy name and hearing about Krishna. Tar Madhya Sarva Shreshth, Tar Madhya Sarva Shreshth.
हरिनाम संकीर्तन निरपराधे नाम ले पाया प्रेम धन.
So Shravan Kirtan is the first. Service all, this is the first service, to chant and hear. If you chant and hear, all other services will be done in the proper consciousness. So, of course, any one of the services you do can give you perfection. So, but Shravan Kirtan is emphasized, you know. Thus, one can revive his dormant Krishna consciousness, and sticking to the cultivation of Krishna consciousness, return home back to God even in this life. So we'll close our account in this material world after so many millions of lifetimes in this material world, and struggle and hard. When we go back to the spiritual world, what a great relief. Oh, no more death, no more disease, as you were saying in the morning, right? No more all this kind of old age, disease, death. So we can enjoy and forever. Of course, we may say, well, that's a materialist, material like hankering. You want to enjoy. Yeah, but that is our actual home. Krishna is saying that's your home when you go back to the spiritual world. Here it's all illusory, because it's going to, even if you say it's very, very nice, it's not going to last. Even if you create the best situation, at some point it will be gone, because you will be gone from the situation. So purport. To become liberated from material bondage, one must give up the association of worldly people and accept the association of devotees. Mahat seva dwara mahur vimukti, tamo dwaram yoshitam sangi sangam. Mahantaste samachitta prasanta, vimanyava surida sadhavoye. So association with great devotees opens the door to liberation, or the service of the great souls opens the door. Vaishnav, Chadiya Vaishnav Seva Nistar Paye Shikima. Without serving a devotee, great Vaishnava, who has attained liberation? So Narad Muni became Narad Muni because he served those Bhakti Vedantas. So to become liberated from material bondage, one must give up the association of worldly people and accept the association of devotees. Krishna says, as yesterday we were reading in that article by Giriraj Maharaj, Mad Bhakta Puja Bhyadikaha. The service of the devotee is even more valuable than the service of the Supreme Personality of God. To become liberated from material bondage, one must give up the association of worldly people and accept the association of devotees. That's why it is said, even if you are doing deity worship and an exalted devotee comes, you can stop your deity worship to receive. And Krishna will not be offended. Oh, you stopped my deity worship. No, he'll be pleased because you are receiving his devotee. So, Krishna is pleased when his devotees are worshipped. That's why we have Guru Puja. Of course, it can be done ritualistically. Everything can be done ritual, but we should think, yeah, we offer our respects to Prabhupada for all the knowledge that he has given us. And so, like that. To become liberated from material bondage, one must give up the association of worldly people and accept the association of devotees. Positive and negative processes are mentioned in this regard. Through the association of devotees, one develops Krishna consciousness, which is dormant within. This Krishna consciousness movement is giving the chance to everyone. We are giving shelter to everyone who is serious about progressing in Krishna consciousness. We arrange for their lodging and boarding so that they can peacefully cultivate Krishna consciousness and return home, back to God even in this life. Prabhupada says they don't have to worry about where money will come, where all this is anxiety, right? All the don't have to worry about economy or anything like that, whether I lose my job or anything. Prabhupada says you have lodging and board. You have some place to stay and prasadam and everything like that. So that they can peacefully cultivate Krishna consciousness and return home, back to God even in this life. So life should be very peaceful so that you can focus on Krishna. So you can return home back to God. And of course, in the temple, it's basically you're serving the Lord and everything else is taken care of. Of course, somebody is providing, right? Somebody is paying the bills and all the devotees are contributing in our temple monthly tithing, right? They are doing so that the temple is running. The devotees who are living there have no anxiety. Okay, so we have to ask the devotees who are living if they have any anxiety. But yeah, it is if you engage in Krishna's service and you feel very happy in Krishna's service, that's basically then you will feel very satisfied. But even if you live in the temple and if you're not feeling happy in Krishna's service, then you think, oh, maybe I should do that, I should do that. And then, yeah, we all like independence, so we are working outside, right? We have our own setup. So, but in the temple we can make, because we have nothing else to do, chanting and hearing and service. So every day there is Bhagavatam class and all these things. So you can be very happy. And with other devotees you get more inspiration, seeing their example. So, so Prabhupada is saying we are giving shelter to everyone who is serious about progressing in Krishna consciousness. We arrange for their lodging and board so that they can peacefully cultivate Krishna consciousness and return home, back to God even in this life. Okay, but wherever we are, even if we are outside, we can be Krishna conscious anywhere. It doesn't depend on, it's up to us, right? We can practice chanting in the morning, everything we can do what they are doing in temple. So, but temple is like you have association of advanced devotees. Ideally, that's how it is. So that in that association you can progress, get inspired. Because everything depends on inspiration and enthusiasm, right? Inspiration and enthusiasm is the key. We have to remain inspired and realize our great fortune we have got in this human form of life. So then, okay. So next verse, next chapter. Further talks between King Rahugana and Jada Bharat. So a lot of talking is going on between them. Conversation. The Brahmana Jada Bharat became anything else? Anybody like to share? Yes. The Brahmana Jada Bharat became very kind to King Rahugana, and to dissociate him from the material world, he spoke figuratively of the forest of the material world. Hmm. So not only Jada Bharat was detached, he, by association of such detached people, they make other people also renounced. Like Prabhupada, right? He was renounced, sannyasi, and he created so many others, right? So a renounced person will give renunciation to others and make them disentangled, unentangled, whatever the word is, from the material world. So that is the advantage of those such association. So you lose your material desires in the association of great souls by hearing from them. The Brahmana Jad Bharat became very kind to King Rahugana, and to dissociate him from the material world, he spoke figuratively of the forest of the material world. How can we become detached from all the material desires when we realize that this is actually basically not my, it's not in my interest actually. This is give me another body, another situation. He explained that, and body means source of trouble. So many diseases can happen with this body and so much. We can give some enjoyment, but it will give lot of trouble. This body can give lot of trouble. And once you experience that trouble, you will say, I don't want another body. I'm done with this. I don't want this body. Get me out of this body. Sometimes the disease becomes so bad, right? That you say, I just want to die. I want to become free from this body. So here we are, in the material. Everybody has a material body. So his body is like a source of great pain. So the Brahmana Jada Bharat became very kind to King Rahugana, and to dissociate him from the material world, he spoke figuratively of the forest of the material world. The true nature of material world is revealed by the great souls. What is actually this? Of course, Vishwam Purnam Sukhayate, this material world is a very happy place for the pure devotee because he is in Krishna consciousness. But because Rahugana was very attached, he told him about, what is your actual situation in this material world, which we say, Sansara Davana Navalidha Loka. Sansara Davana Lalidha Loka. Tranaya Karunya Ghana Ghana Tvam. Praptasya Kalyana Gunarnavasya. It begins with this line, right? Oh, blazing forest fire. He explained that this material world is like a great forest in which one becomes entangled due to association with material life. We are like in the banyan tree, Krishna says. We are hopping from one branch to another in this banyan tree, which is very like huge and complex, and we don't know our way out. In this forest, there are plunderers, the six senses, as well as carnivorous animals like jackals, wolves, and lions, wives, children, and other relatives, who are always anxious to suck the blood from the head of the family. The forest plunderers and the carnivorous blood sucking animals combine to exploit the energy of a man within this material world. So, our six senses, they plunder, means this plunderer means they steal away our wealth of Krishna consciousness by taking us in different directions, in a different direction than towards Krishna. The sixth sense is like, Prahlad Maharaj says, like, it's like a man who is pulled by different senses, right? We are pulled by our different senses, and they plunder.
Different vibe.
Different ways, yeah. So they plunder our wealth. We have a wealth in us, the joy of bhakti, but the senses that plunder us, rob us of our wealth by taking into on some other place, as well as carnivorous animals like jackals, wolves, and lions. In the forest, the senses are plunderers, and the carnivorous animals, they suck our blood, who are always anxious to suck the blood from the head of the family. The forest plunderers and the carnivorous blood sucking animals combine to exploit the energy of a man within this material world. In this forest, there is also a black hole. Black hole, right? Into which something goes which never comes out. Covered by grass, into which one may fall. So it is covered by grass, so you can't see that there is a hole actually. Grass has grown. But once you fall inside, then and nobody else knows it, right? That there is a hole, and the hole is deep. So you may shout and shout, but the voice never reaches anybody. There is also a black hole in the forest, covered by grass, into which one may fall. Coming into the forest and being captivated by so many material attractions, one identifies himself with this material world, society, friendship, love, and family. Having lost the path and not knowing where to go, being harassed by animals and birds, one is also victimized by many desires. So we become entangled by our own network of desires. We are supposed to be very free. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na sochati na kangshati. But all these material desires actually bind us and they don't let us, we are chained by our own material desires. So when we become free, then we will experience the joy of, becoming free. How nice it is to become free from all this material entanglement. So having lost the path and not knowing where to go, being harassed by animals and birds. So that is why in the Varnashram, it is at some point you are supposed to become free of all this entanglement in so many things. And think of yourself as spirit soul who's just passing through and has eternal relationship with Krishna. Become free from all the duties, and only duty remains is duty to God. So that's how it is. 75% is a renounced life, right? As in the Varnashram, and only 25% is regulated life for the cultivation of spiritual. So, so having lost the path and not knowing where to go, being harassed by animals and birds, one is also victimized by many desires. In the forest, one is victimized by many desires. Thus, one works hard, very hard within the forest and wanders here and there. Sometimes he goes there, sometimes he becomes captivated by temporary happiness and becomes aggrieved by so-called distress. So everybody is trying to minimize distress and maximize happiness. So whenever that distress comes, we become so pained because it is not helping me become happy. Like you are enjoying, and something happens, right? You get a fracture, then then now you're in the bed for 3 months, like that. So this is the nature of this world. So all your plans becomes temporarily suspended, and you become so unhappy. Actually, one simply suffers in the forest from so-called happiness and distress. Of course, nobody likes distress unless you're Kunti Devi. So nobody, we are trying to avoid distress. As soon as there's distress, like morning I had some pain in the leg. So immediately there was something, so I put some lotion, things like that. There was some pain. I don't like, nobody likes distress because When you are in painful situation, you can't chant Hare Krishna nicely. That pain is there and like that. So, and you take some medicine, you don't painkiller. Actually, one simply suffers in the forest from so-called happiness and distress. Sometimes is attacked by a snake, deep sleep, and due to snake bite, he loses consciousness and becomes puzzled and bewildered about discharging his duties. So it confuses us. It creates like a bewildered situation, what to do, what not to do, as Arjuna was facing, like he says, Prichhami tvam dharma samuda chetaha कार्पण्य दोषोपहत स्वभाव पृच्छामि त्वं धर्म समूढ़ चेतः यत् श्रेयान् स्यान् निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्ते हम साधि मां त्वं प्रपन्नम. Dharma sankat, right? It creates like a bewildered situation. Actually, one simply suffers in the forest from so-called happiness and distress. Sometimes he is attacked by a snake, and due to a snake bite, he loses consciousness and becomes puzzled and bewildered about discharging his duties. Sometimes he is attracted by women other than his wife, and thus he thinks he enjoys extramarital love with another woman. He is attacked by various diseases, by lamentation, and by summer and winter. Thus, one within the forest of material world suffers the pains of material existence. Expecting to become happy, the living entity changes his position from one place to another. He tries to adjust his situation, but actually, a materialistic person within the material world is never happy. Being constantly engaged in materialistic activities is always disturbed. He forgets that one day he has to die. Yeah. When you are carried away by material happiness and so absorbed, you think this is going to go on forever. One day it will be, one day it will come to an end. Although he suffers severely, being illusioned by the material energy, he still hankers after material happiness. The problem is that, these all things, sense gratification gives us trouble, but we can't give it up. That's the problem. Although we are suffering, but we still can't give it up. We are attached to it. This material world is a place of suffering, but we are still attached to it. It says, although he suffers severely, being illusioned by the material energy, yeah, so much trauma it causes, he still hankers after material happiness. In this way, he completely forgets his relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
So,
Like,
Prabhuji, a thought I have here.
go ahead.
Like how we heard that Bharat remembered his previous birth, the mistakes that he did. If we had that remembrance, would we still be committing those kind of same mistakes, or as regular human beings?
You are saying if we remembered our previous birth, then would we be committing our
Yeah, same mistakes
same
again,
mistake?
or relationship where we goofed up. Because I think forgetfulness persists very much in our lives as well. Like sometimes I cannot remember what I did 5 minutes back or what I was thinking. Even after the class, I can barely remember 80% of it.
But as I think Radhika was saying, we have done all these mistakes. Even though we may not remember, the difference is Jada Bharat remembered, but we don't remember. But we have done all these kind of things. We have been
Mhm.
in animal bodies. So we get information from Shastra. So one thing is to believe in the Shastra, right? So we say, yeah, we don't remember, and there is a reason why we don't remember, so that we can enjoy our life now. So that's why we don't remember all the problems we have had in our past life. That's why we don't remember, because we have desire to enjoy. Actually, if we remember all these things, then we'll become very, disturbed. And because we wanted to enjoy, so that's why Krishna has made us kindly forget all these things. because trauma is not a very nice thing to remember. Everybody likes to forget traumatic incidents in their life. So at the end of one life, Krishna helps us to forget that trauma. But in the special case of Jada Bharat, mostly everybody wants to forget all the bad things that have happened in their life. So, so that is why we forget. But if we remembered, we would have become disturbed. It would interfere with our desire to enjoy in this life. Then we would say, Krishna, let me not remember. Krishna, please make me forget. So we would say like that. So that's knowing that Krishna has made us forget. So like that. So, but in this life also we go through so many difficulties, but we don't really kind of learn. Right? So that also we don't learn so much. I mean, we have to go to repeated. We are not so intelligent, so we have to go through repeated things. But it's a good question, right? What will happen to us if we remembered all the mistakes and everything, experiences from our past life.
I try to reconcile it as because we daily we face different situations, but most of them are similar from previously faced as well, and we are frustrated. And we still, like if you had a bad experience, like when you travel somewhere, but you still want to travel next year. um, so
Maybe this time around it will not be like that, right? We
and
think
yeah, that
also.
hope is always there, but in the back of your mind, you still know that misery is going to tag along, no matter whatever you do.
Yeah, that hope, because we have hope for happiness, right? So that hope for happiness is always
Mm.
next time around.
Yeah, I think one of the class I heard that is like how a student completes his 10 standard like SSC or whatever the board that you were in. You don't have to, if you have passed, you wouldn't get the same question paper. You move to the 11th grade. So that's what um, I try to think in terms of the challenges we face. If we are facing the same challenges over and over again, we are still goofing up somewhere.
Yeah, more we are attached, the more it will cause misery. And also we have to expect. The more we expect that reversals will come in life, then we will be prepared, right? Our consciousness will be prepared. The more we feel like, okay, my life should just go on very nicely, then when reversal comes, then it's like a shock. So then it causes great misery. But if we are expecting that reversals will come, because this is a material world, right? I mean, can't expect things to. Of course, if you have good karma, sometime it may go on for a longer period of time, but still, eventually, everybody has to die, right? That's the main thing we have to focus on. One day I'll not be there in this body, and I would have moved on to my next destination. So that's so bigger picture is like that. We are going. So considering the bigger picture, then we should do like yesterday. Manish was saying, yes, we don't have. Is Manish on the call? Yeah. Manish was saying that we don't have. I don't feel I have much time left. I don't know why he said that, but it's true also, right? Even if we live, how long we are going to live? Another 1 or 2 decades, something like that. If it is, it's a very short time. So, and things just glow like, so fast. Time just goes so fast. And it's time to change the body, right? So, okay, so let us do as many spiritual activities and devotional activities as we can do. Let's build up our bank balance as much as we can, by doing chanting and hearing and as much as we can before the inevitable happens, before time runs out. So, here, although he suffers severely being illusioned by material energy, he still hankers after material happiness. In this way, he completely forgets his relationship with the Supreme Personality of God. By hearing this from Jada Bharat, Maharaj Rahugana revived his Krishna consciousness and thus benefited from Jada Bharat's association. So all Jada Bharat was speaking like this. Maharaj Rahugana became very, like, he awoke to the reality and he benefited. He could understand that his illusion was over and he begged pardon from Jada Bharat for his misbehavior. All this was told to Maharaj Parikshit by Shukdev Goswami. Okay, so we are going to start this chapter. We can hear something we want. Or anybody has any other comments?
I have just one comment from.
Go ahead.
I mean, Prabhupada's books, every single book, wherever I read or watch his video,
Mhm.
he repeatedly, is, bringing us back that, this is the way that we, in every sentence, like Krishna's bhakti devotion, that we surrender to Krishna, nothing belongs to us. We are part and parcel. All these things he repeatedly says.
Yeah.
And it is just so amazing that I have just been with Krishna consciousness with just maybe a year or so. And before that, I was just so despondent. I was just waiting that just somehow my end comes sooner rather. But now it just has changed my outlook that this body, I can utilize this. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm good in any way, but I still feel like I can utilize this body. So now I am not waiting the way I was waiting. And so, Prabhupada, I have not read any other Gita commentary purport the way Prabhupada, he just makes such strong statement about Krishna's bhakti devotion and how it seems like how easy he's trying to make for us that chanting and listening, hearing all these things. We're just, and it does help. It does help. I know it helps. And this is what I just am saying that, keep reading, keep reading these books that Prabhupada has written for us. His purports are full of devotion and bhakti. And I am just so grateful. I don't know whether I am anywhere or not, but I still feel like I kind of found something.
Yeah.
And I just have to keep making effort that I stay there. Don't again deviate.
Yeah, why it appeals, because the soul knows the truth, right? I mean, the soul knows. So even if we are, because of our conditioning, we can't follow sometimes all these things, but it really like appeals to us because, we know ultimately at deep down, the soul knows that yes, what this is being said is the truth. So it kind of, it feels very good to read Prabhupada's books. That's why. This is the truth, what Prabhupada is writing. And so, and Bhagavatam, all the verses are like that. It's also not like Prabhupada's purports are like giving more emphasis or making it more clear. But the verses originally from the Bhagavatam are also like that about, you know, so many chapters after chapters. It is Bhagavatam is talking about. And sometimes people say, why Bhagavatam is so much like talking about all this material entanglement and all. They should talk about devotional service to Krishna because the 10th canto, but without the being properly, detached, we cannot appreciate the activities of Krishna consciousness. So that is also, so both have a role. Of course, Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janayati Asu Vairagyam Jnanam Chaya Detukam. That by devotional service to Krishna, automatically one develops knowledge and detachment. But then why Bhagavatam is speaking about the forest of material enjoyment and so many chapter after chapter is also related to pure devotional service because we come to the platform of pure devotional service. When we lose hope, Anya Bhilashita Shunyam, when we lose hope that there is anything besides Krishna consciousness, that's when Bhagavatam is trying to make us like that. Understand that there is no other hope. There is no hope for any. We become hopeless about material enjoyment. Then we can take shelter of Krishna wholeheartedly. In the Bhagavad Gita also Krishna says Bhogeshwarya, Bhogeshwarya Prasatta.
या
असक्तानां
प्रकृति समं व्यवसात्मिका बुद्धि
सात्विका
समं
बुद्धि समाधौ
Pramadho no vidyate. So unless you are detached from all the Bhoga and Ishwarya, Krishna says Vyavasayatmika Buddhi never happens. That one pointed attention on Krishna never happens. So that is why Bhagavatam is trying to shake us up from the illusion that we are in. Like that first verse it says, no? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Janmadi Yataha Anvayaditaratasya Artheshu Abhignasvarat Tene Brahma Hridayadi Kavaye.
मूर्ति सूर्य तेजवारी मृतम यथा
What is that? Reality distinguished from illusion. Damna Svena Sada Nirastupuyakam
अपोहकम सत्यम
Satyam
परम
Param
धीमे.
Dhimahi. So it is, yeah, it is bringing us to reality that we are the soul and all this is, we are in a foreign environment in this material world. We are like a fish out of water here in our material consciousness. So, okay, so the next, what is it? We'll just read one more verse and then stop.
um,
Yeah, go ahead.
as you're talking about Prabhuji happiness, that how the material world, I mean, in materialism we running after the happiness, right? I was thinking that the definition of happiness is different for everybody also, right? That so the devotees find happiness in serving the Lord, and they are I mean, it's a great happiness that they derived from the doing the devotional service. The problem is that I was remembering the Srila Prabhupada's life. When we read about Srila Prabhupada's life, he, I mean, the struggle he had in his life, I mean, normally people give up, and but he didn't. And the difference is that when his business was not working out, he immediately give up on that. And but to spread the Krishna consciousness, he had a lot of troubles when he came here, when he was in India, even in his family. But he did not give up
Hmm.
because because the
Persistent.
thing is,
Well,
the problem is that in materially we try, and we don't want to give up. We just feel like that I will get happiness this time, other time. But there one should has give up that okay, as like we don't try anything, any endeavor to get the distress. If happiness I deserve, I will get it anyway. And so, I mean, somehow, if we try to be convince ourselves to be neutral, and that is a best thing. We should not give up in devotional service. We should not give up in spreading Krishna consciousness. But I think one or second or three try, one should give up the material happiness. And that makes one life peaceful and satisfied.
so Prabhupada, he didn't give up his quest for his business. He set up his business multiple times. And that too, he regretted that. He wasted so much time, 50 years. He,
No,
did.
yeah, that's true. But I was saying the comparison, if you see the comparison, what kind of struggle he had in spreading Krishna consciousness, and
Yeah,
he
but
tried to
the
serve.
business also, see, the business also, he was setting it up for Krishna only. That was spiritual endeavor because he wanted to make money to set up temples. It was not for material happiness
Yeah,
that
he
he
was
gave it.
thinking
But
that.
in spiritual life also, you can endeavor for some things, but if that doesn't work, then you move on to the services that are made for you, right? So, business making money was not meant for him, for Krishna. So, he tried another way how he could serve Krishna consciousness.
No, that is true. But the way I was saying that, like, let's say if somebody is trying to, like, you all are doing book distribution, not everybody is interested in taking up the books. You move on to another person. You are not just, okay, it's not like a giving up the service. You do the same service, but if somebody is not interested, leave that and move on to someone else. But you are spreading Krishna consciousness, right? You are doing efforts in doing, not with the same person but with some other people. So we don't give up that service, we don't give up the distributing books, we don't give up the talking about Krishna. We maybe give up that, okay, maybe this is not a right time for this person, right? um yeah, in that way I was saying that in materially, I mean, I have experienced that if I have to do something, then I cannot do much and get distressed about that same situation. I think I believe that one should stop at that point, and okay, just let's I know believe on Krishna that, okay, if it's gonna be do, I will do it. I'm not much into it, so I get depressed on that. So yeah, this is what I was just trying to say. That in materially we try a lot of things and we get, we are so much into it, we get distressed because we have a lot of expectation from that. Okay, I'm doing it, I will get the results, I will be like this, I mean, lots of plans is there. So yeah.
I think Prabhupada
Yeah, but
said one. Yeah.
sorry. Yeah, go ahead, Prabhu.
No, only one statement I want to make. Prabhupada says one should not, in Canto 5, Chapter 8, verse 10, Prabhupada says one should not give up his interest in attaining the favor of Lord Vishnu at any cost. So we should always be, yeah, that tatenukampam susamikshamano punjanaiva. So whatever happens in life, we should always be wanting to seek the mercy of the Lord. That's basically, we should, our interest should not go in that. Now we may do this service or that service, that's the detail, but the consciousness is that, you know, I will not give up. And of course, chanting is the main thing, right? They say, no matter what happens, never give up the chanting of the holy name. Right? So that's the.
Yeah. Ultimately, the soul is hankering for happiness. Anandamaya Bhasat. We cannot avoid that. We are looking to have joy at every moment. If we are not experiencing spiritual bliss, we want to experience happiness, and that too, most of the people are looking after happiness in the material world, right? So puna puna charvita charvananam, chewing the chewed again and again, they try and make attempts for happiness, but of course it's in the wrong direction. They're looking for the right thing but in the wrong place. Until they met devotees and experience some spiritual happiness, then their direction of life can change, but otherwise nobody can give up the quest for happiness. That's the, that's the nature of the soul.
Yes. Okay. So we have 3 minutes. We'll read one verse. Brahmana Uvacha Duratyaye Dhvanya Jaya Nivishito Rajastamaha Sattva Vibhakta Karmadrik Sa Esha Sartho Artha Paraha Pari Brahman Bhavatavim Yati Na Sharma Vindati. Jada Bharat, who had fully realized Brahman, continued. My dear King Rahugana, the living entity. So that was summary what we read. Now, my dear King Rahugana, the living entity wanders on the path of the material world, which is very difficult for him to traverse, and he accepts repeated birth and death. Being captivated by the material world under the influence of the three modes of material nature, Sattva Gun, Rajogun, and Tamogun, the living entity can see only the three fruits of activities under the spell of material nature. These fruits are auspicious, inauspicious, and mixed. He thus becomes attached to religion, economic development, sense gratification, and the monistic theory of liberation merging with the supreme. He works very hard day and night, exactly like a merchant who enters a forest to acquire some articles to sell later for profit. However, he cannot really achieve happiness within this material world. Okay. Purport. One can very easily understand how difficult and insurmountable the path of sense gratification is. Not knowing what the path of sense gratification is, one becomes implicated in the repetition of birth and accepts different types of bodies again and again. Thus, one suffers in material existence. In this life, one may think that he is very happy being an American, Indian, Englishman, or German. But in the next life, one has to accept another body among 8,400,000 species. The next body has to be immediately accepted according to karma. One will be forced to accept a certain type of body, and protesting will not help. That is the stringent law of nature. Due to the living entity's ignorance of his eternal blissful life, he becomes attracted to material activities under the spell of Maya. So we have forgotten our eternal blissful life. So we become attracted to material activities under the spell of Maya. In this world, he can never experience happiness. Yet he works very hard to do so. This is called Maya. Prabhupada is saying, yeah, he works very hard, but he can never really experience happiness. This is called Maya, means that which is not possible, you are trying to achieve. Something that is not
It's a
possible.
mirage.
It's a mirage, yeah. Something that is not possible to achieve, you are trying to achieve. So how is it possible? You will achieve that. Something is not possible. That's what Prabhupada is saying. Okay, this is called Maya, illusion. So it's 9 o'clock. We are going to stop here. We'll continue with the next verse tomorrow. Thank you everyone for joining. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.